I was just wondering if you could give just a sort of general description about how it happened. Because I read that you were in a hospital bed for 2 years, and then you've bounced back to inspire so many people, and you're inspiring and changing so many lives. But, can you just give a little background to what actually happened?
All right, so I was deployed in early 2008 to Sadr City, Iraq, and what our mission was, we were there to find roadside bombs, find IEDs, things of that nature. On August 26th, during one of these such missions, they had placed a device inside a shack that was kind of on the side of the road, and that's the best way to describe it, as a shack. But really what these were kind of like business fronts for the locals that lived in the neighborhood. They had these what looked like little shacks or shanties, and they would kind of operate businesses out of there. But somebody had placed a device in one of those shacks. Our two lead vehicles missed it because it was hidden very well, and they detonated it. They detonated the device on the vehicle that I was in. I was standing up as a machine gunner in the vehicle. The device came in on the passenger side, struck me directly through the thighs, and ended up embedding itself in the side of the vehicle on the driver's side. The gentleman sitting in the passenger seat up front got lucky. He was leaning forward at the side. My sergeant that was right there was leaning forward at the side, sending a message on a piece of equipment that we have in the vehicle to communicate between vehicles. And if he'd have been sitting back, it probably would have taken his head off, but he came out unscathed. My driver was not so fortunate, had some shrapnel bounce off the windshield and hit him in the head and ended up taking his life. We had two gentlemen in the back that were scouts that were also supposed to be lookouts for anything inconsistent in the environment. They suffered minor injury. So when it happened, all of the communications in the vehicle completely went off. All the lights on the vehicle completely shut down, and we were still moving forward. I had went from looking over the vehicle at the time to kind of staring directly through the windshield. So I thought maybe my legs were broke from the concussion of the blast or something. I had no idea that it was as serious as it was. The vehicle was still moving forward, so I thought, okay, we were just doing what we were taught to do, which is typically move out of the kill zone, find some place that's safe, and do a casualty assessment. Figure out what's going on from there, take care of any of the wounded. And the vehicle continued forward, and then it veered off and crashed into a wall. And at that point, I knew something was seriously wrong. The sergeant sitting in the passenger seat had informed me that our driver had been hit and was seriously injured, and he couldn't get out of the door on his side of the vehicle, which we later found out the explosive came through the side of the vehicle with such heat that it actually welded his door shut. So he asked if he could get through my way, because I told him I had suffered an injury, but I didn't think it was that bad at the time. I was like, no, I'm good. I think my legs are broke. And when I went to go move, I fell back into the vehicle face up, and as he turned around to kind of come through to crawl through the back of the vehicle, he informed me that my legs were chewed up, were severely injured. I told him just to crawl over me at that point in time, that he wasn't going to hurt me any more than I already was, and he needed to take care of our driver because he was more seriously injured than I was. He got out of the vehicle. I spoke with the two guys that were in the back, trying to make sure that they were okay, trying to get them to calm down a little bit, because one of the guys had suffered a little bit of, not shrapnel, but like stone and sand and other things to the face. Tried to calm them down, told them get their weapons, get out of the vehicle, pull security, help out. I dragged myself to the back of the vehicle, at which point I was met by one of the medics. They started to try to tourniquet my legs, but my thighs were so large that the tourniquets wouldn't go around my legs. About this time, I started to lose feeling in my hands. And, in the military, they teach you how to save all these lives and all the indicators, of what to look for when someone's dying. The only bad part about that is when you start dying, you know exactly what's going on. So I told him, I was like, listen, I was like, you got to get me out of here. Like, my hands are starting to go numb, like this and that. So they got me out of the vehicle, got me into a different vehicle, took me to a casualty collection point. Got lucky that where I was injured, they had a surgeon at that particular place that was able to assist immediately. They were able to stabilize me there, got me on a helicopter, and flew me out up towards Baghdad. Ended up kind of, I didn't lose consciousness, I guess, on the helicopter, but they hit me up, with the good drugs, and that, made me a space cadet at that point. So I don't really remember a whole lot of what happened after just kind of staring at the stars on the helicopter, thinking that, my younger brother wasn't going to be burying me, that I wasn't going to let that happen. And, but I remained conscious. I was told later that I had 4 major surgeries up in the trauma area near Baghdad before they stabilized me enough to send me to Germany. Ended up having a few more surgeries in Germany. During this time, they were having issues keeping me stable. I died a few times, so much to the point that they thought they were going to have to expedite my brother out of country. So my brother was back home on stateside with the bag ready to go after he was notified that I'd been seriously injured. They didn't think I was going to make it out of Germany, so they were getting ready to expedite my brother over to Germany to basically say goodbye to me. But ended up stabilizing enough for them to get me back stateside. Spent a couple weeks in a coma. And then after that, my physical therapist and occupational therapist, they come into my room and, they're introducing themselves, saying this is who they are. And they asked me to grab one of the bars above the bed, that I don't know what they use, the little triangle looking thing, and say, can you grab this? And I'm like, sure. And they're like, can you sit up? And I sit up, and they're like, great first day. And that was kind of day one of trying to get my life back together at that point was, can you sit up? So, yeah, after that, spent the better part of 2.5 years in the hospital, had around 60 major surgeries, just trying to figure out how to get my life back together, just, get back to what is now going to be the new normal. Not even thinking or considering about doing a lot of the stuff that I do now, just how am I going to live daily, so.